Good afternoon, Steel Toe University. Happy Thursday, everybody. It is Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Welcome. So this afternoon, we're going to be talking about the power of negative visualization, which, of course, in and of itself is its own. I'll be the first to admit the sense of clickbait in that you're thinking you may be thinking to yourself, what is negative visualization and how could that possibly be powerful on any level? Aren't we taught to think positive and see ourselves doing everything that is positive in our business and seeing positive outcomes? And of course, yes, there's a substantial amount of science to back the power of positivity. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about today was we as people don't always stay, in fact, rarely do we stay in control of our own negative thoughts. We have them. We just don't pay attention to them. What would be better is if we could use them and acknowledge and control when and how they impact us. So instead of going down the road, and if you actually pay attention, you recognize, am I thinking negatively right now? Am I thinking of a worse outcome? Do I see the future, whether that's tomorrow or 2 weeks or 2 months or 10 years down the road? Does it look brighter or does it look worse? And we tend to have a habit of it looking worse. So if we're going to have some percentage of ourselves with these negative thoughts, how can we use them in a powerful way? And the point of this conversation is to establish a set specific time when you will actually focus on what is in your blind spot. And so let me start off by defining what a blind spot is, because we all have them. Blind spots are areas of yourself that you are not aware of. Now, it's very likely that other people close to you or people that know you are very easily able to identify your blind spots for you. And that is the one of many, but that is one of the fundamental reasons why we join into circles like this, so we can have a connection with other people and build that connection, not on a superficial level where it's like, hey, how's it going? What do you think the virus is going to do? How's business? Where it's general. Like, especially now, I can say this, especially now more than even 30 days ago, even though I've been talking about this kind of stuff for 3 years, now more than ever, it is important to have deep, meaningful relationships with a tight circle, because people need each other. So what we're doing at Steel Toe University is we've been doing it for a while, but we're amplifying it. We're putting a magnifying glass on it, and we're continuing to build that community within our mastermind group. That community, and we did a webinar, like a longer version of what I'm going to do today, the other night, and it's powerful because it's not the first time like you're going to hop on a Zoom call and then you're going to get all the great takeaways and you're going to, things are going to improve immediately. It's joining into a circle of people that there's no BS, there's no fluff. We're not here to try to pretend that our problems are less than what they are. If I have a broken thumb and you have a broken leg, it doesn't mean my thumb doesn't hurt. It's a problem for me. It's a problem for you. We need each other. So we have this concept of negative visualization. Where I'm going with this is this. We have these blind spots, and we can open ourselves up to where we can get hung up in life, whether it's in our personal relationships or whether it's on a project or with our employees or clients, whatever it may be, or with ourselves, that when we play, you can take the action to actually play out what could go wrong. So you plan a day for everything to go right. So the first step one is we encourage, routine in your life. And I think a lot of people, I think the majority of people don't run with routine. No, I mean, it's work. It takes work to do. And it's not something that you say, okay, tomorrow I'm going to start doing routines for my life and it's instantaneous. Change is work. And sometimes we change because we choose to do the work. But right now, with everything going on with coronavirus, it's going to force people to change. And what's going to happen right before that change is there's going to be a mountain of uncomfortable, unwanted suffering and pain and hurt. And I'm sorry that that's the way it is. But without it, there aren't the same level of opportunities to necessarily rise up on our own. So some people will run out of money. Some people will lose a loved one. Some people will be affected in one or multiple ways during a hardship. And they'll get to a breaking point where they say, something has to change. I can't run my business like this. I can't run my marriage like this. I can't be a parent like this. You know, something has to change. What changes is constant interaction with the right people in your life. I mean, if you, and so you look at the people that are in your world and you want them to be as quality and as focused on the same things that you are, that you want. So if you see somebody, or if you have an opportunity to join a circle that's going to hold you accountable, give you new techniques on how to step up and be a leader, because that's what you are. I mean, there's 9 people on this call. There's 21,000 followers of our page on Facebook, or more than that. There's how many tens of thousands of small businesses, hundreds of thousands of small businesses. There's the majority of people are going to run and react. I want to give you some tools, something new in your toolbox, because we all carry with us a toolbox. Some of us really have a lot of talent and skill for managing projects. Some of us have ways of dealing with anger, or ways of dealing with depression, or ways of parenting that are powerful. You have tools in your toolbox. And what we do is we go out and we face problems in life. And so a problem hits us and we go to our toolbox and we look inside and we say, what skills and tools and techniques do I have for handling this problem? And where we run short is we keep looking through our toolbox. I mean, you get this. You've been on a job. You've been on a job where a pipe is broken, and you go back to the toolbox on your truck and you start going through there and you think, like, what do I have that can fix this? Well, we don't always have the right tool, but we're thinking that we're still trying to fit the problems we're facing into what we have. So what we do at the university is we add to that toolbox. And it's not just me adding to that toolbox. It's a group of people that have come together that said, I have a tool, I have a tool, I have a tool. And we are committed to manning up you in this, especially because of coronavirus. This is the time to level up in life and become better, but you're going to have tools. One of the tools is a group that is consistent, that you're involved with. Make the commitment or don't make the commitment. And I don't say that, to be stubborn or harsh about it, but I'm saying it's good to commit to something and not do this is not the time for half measures. Half measures really actually would help you survive just fine in a really strong economy without any problems. You can kind of half-ass it and still do pretty darn well in life, because the masks are still available to you, because money's rolling, business is rolling. But people are facing true hardships right now. So one of the techniques that I use is negative visualization. The way that works is this. I look at my day and I have a plan for it. And I understand one thing. That's my plan. It's great if it runs according to my plan, but I only have control over myself. And I am certain that other things will come at me that will want to derail my plan. And I look and think, after I've created the best plan for my day and a schedule and a routine, okay, I'm going to get up at 5:30. I'm going to work out. I'm going to eat breakfast. I'm going to type up 3 proposals. I'm going to go on a bid. I'm going to run to the job site, check in on the crew, come home. Once you get that step one of the plan, then go back and look at it and say, where can all of this go wrong? Where in this plan can I close my eyes and imagine just for a moment the things that can be thrown at me? Well, my child could get sick in the middle of the day and need to go to the doctor. A delivery could be late. What is my backup plan? Like in your toolbox now. So what this does is it gives you this tool that says, not only am I running life by one, step one is running it by a plan. So you have plan A. At the very minimum, have a plan. But when you are the type of leader that has a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C, and a plan D, you have a toolbox now full of these ways that you can pivot, not get completely thrown into a frenzy because something didn't go your way. And I only speak from experience, by the way. I'm not preaching to you from a position of somebody that has always been successful at this. I've learned this the hard way. When I think if you've ever had something where a job is running beautifully, it's running perfectly smooth, and then you break a gas line or something, or an employee doesn't show up, or your crew quits, or something else. And how do you react to that? Do you immediately go into action mode? And I'll give you a good example of this. Restaurants. I mean, my heart breaks for restaurants. They've been immediately impacted. They were impacted a month ago, as soon as things started shutting down, shelter in place. So I've noticed there are a minority of restaurants in our area that immediately pivoted. I mean, within days, the management or the ownership had a completely different plan. They were running operations out of their parking lot. They had moved grills outside where they were barbecuing and grilling and taking orders over the phone, and you could pick them up. And so, no, but they didn't. I was so impressed with how some of them didn't skip a beat in their business because of the mindset. And I watched the majority of them fold, crumbled. Believe me, I'm not like, I get that this is more than a tough time. This is like global. And so I am no global strategist. I can't tell you when the virus is going to end, but I can tell you that new ways of thinking are going to be forced upon people, because once you start stripping away income, opportunity, and comfort, security, safety, you really start to squeeze a person. Just like I've said in the past, when you squeeze an orange, what do you get? You get orange juice, because that's what's on the inside. When you put pressure on a person, you get what's on the inside. Many people are stepping up they're not there to make a name for themselves. They're not out to be the next great YouTuber. They're just stepping up and arranging for masks to be delivered to hospital workers. I've seen parents step up and host Facebook groups for, 20 ideas of things that you can do while your kids are at home. I need ideas. I need that help. I have my strengths, I have my weaknesses. You can only go out and sidewalk chalk and plant a garden once and, shoot some basketballs before you run out of things to do. So it's like there is so much creativity and innovation that is going to happen. It might be possible that industries and sectors of industries will be forever changed. Maybe the way dine-in restaurants will happen, or movie theaters will be forever changed. In fact, just as a side note, movie theaters is a great example that draws to mind. They were already not streaming video killed Blockbuster, if that doesn't age me or date me too much. At the day when you used to go and actually rent, there was VHS and then of course DVD. So now you know how old I am. But streaming video killed that, but now movie theaters are empty. So when we finally get the green light and the government says, great, we can, everybody is welcome to stop the shelter in place and the virus is dying down, you think people are going to flood back? Do you think all the industries that were work from an office and have now transitioned to work from home are going to immediately just say, okay, everybody come back to work? Or are people going to realize, like, you know what? During this whole shutdown, I figured out a way to work from home, or I figured out a way for my 10 or my 20 or my 200 employees to work from home. Industries are going to change. And those that are embracing that and leaning into that and saying, I need to level up my knowledge and what I can do and how I handle problems. If you are intently focused on that, there's opportunity on the other side of this that I believe is massive. There always is. I mean, it has to be, because that's what change is. That's what brings about change more frequently than self-motivation. So I want to give you a couple other tools in that toolbox while we're on this subject. So the other night I went through, and this was inside of our mastermind. So I want to give you the differentiation between this. First and foremost, I do invite you to join our mastermind. And I'm going to give you a quick analogy. For those of you that use Home Advisor, which we still do, we turn on and off our leads. I have them really well refined, and most of the leads we take are for synthetic grass, artificial turf. I turned off some of the hardscape ones. So yeah, I know there's a kind of a love-hate relationship with Home Advisor for a lot of people, but the concept is still the same. You get a lead and they bill you. What do they bill you? Like, their prices, everyone agrees that they're kind of expensive, sometimes what, $50 a lead for a hardscape lead. And the price ranges, I don't even know if they have $25 leads anymore, but I know they can get very expensive. And then at the end of the month, you've accepted 3 or 4 leads through Home Advisor, and they charge your credit card, a couple $100, and you've paid for those leads. We have a group at Steel Toe University that is immensely powerful. It's not a one and done. You have to join. You have to show up. You have to be there every week. But once you start by like week 3, week 4, and you start to get some of the habits and routines of how these calls go, you start to realize you're connecting yourself in with a very powerful group of people, because industry is going to change, even ours. And I'm the first to say that, as working in outdoor construction or landscaping, whether you're doing maintenance or installation or excavation, or you're building, or you're a deck builder, we probably are one of the, right now, I mean, this could all change in the very near future, but we're not the first wave of people to be as impacted as many others. We're not, certainly I've drawn analogies to the restaurant business or hourly employees, strip malls. I got a good friend of mine that owns several strip malls, and it's all commercial real estate. Commercial real estate is not under the same federal protection as home ownership, where you can defer your mortgage payments for, I think it's 3 months or a certain period of time. You can defer mortgage payments. Commercial real estate still has to make their mortgage payments. Well, in a typical strip mall, that could, you have 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 shops, whatever it is. But, for example, that could mean $100,000 of tenant income per month that has now gone to $5,000. People not paying their leases because if they can't open their nail salon, and if they can't open the barbershop in the small restaurant, and GameStop, and you think of the types of businesses that are in the plaza, they're not able to pay their overhead. So people's lives are changing like that right now. And I want to offer a very safe, confidential space for people to process the difficulty, the magnitude, as well as the opportunity for not just to grow your business, but to grow you. This is a time that both are going to have to happen hand in hand. mean, we can give you like, we have well over 200 hours of content on how to grow your business. And typically these webinars are designed to say like, hey, here's the skill of the day that we're discussing, you know, how to bid, how to estimate, how to sell, how to complete change orders. But right now the conversation needs to change. We need to be better ourselves because that's where the real opportunity is. So I want to give you something that is somewhat sits at the core of one of many, 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 many changes. It's called the 5 points of orientation. And it's an art of war thing. If you've ever read the book by Sun Tzu, The Art of War, it talks about the 5 points of orientation in there as well. And I want to give these to you. So if you have a pen and paper and you want to write this down, I'll try to say it slowly so you can capture it. Point number 1 is pay attention to what's important. I want you to internalize these because if you write these down and you have them written and you look at them every single day, if you keep these 5 points in mind, you're going to be far better prepared to lead. You must lead. And leading begins with leading yourself. But I don't want you to be a leaf in the wind and the wind blows left and you blow left and the wind blows right and you blow right, or you try to go upwind against it. I want you to stay to people are looking to you for leadership. Whether it's your employees, your clients, your kids, especially a spouse, they're looking to you. They're looking in your eyes. They're like, are you okay? Because if you're okay, I'm okay. But if you're not okay, it comes through. And if you're not confident, and if you're fearful, and if you try to do anything from a position of fear, it's going to affect your decision-making ability. You can make the same decision from a position of fear or a position of absolute power. Like, I got this. And you're going to make a totally, totally different decision. You're going to handle chaos far better. So point number 1, pay attention to what's important. Point number 2, leaders move first. That's really important. You move first. There's nothing. If you're thinking right now, well, if I get this phone call and this guy tells me yes on this big project that I'm bidding, then man, that's just going to be, I'm really depending on this. Or if I'm just waiting to hear back from the doctor and all I'm waiting to know is that my son or my daughter's okay, or I'm checking in on my parents and if I know they're okay, then I'm going to be okay. Leaders move first. They act first. They take steps first, and they're not waiting for somebody else to move to determine their next action. They're thinking ahead. Number 3, it's always your turn. I love this one. I mean, I love this. It is instantly, it gives me a sense of my power. It's my turn. It's nobody else's turn. Again, it goes back to not waiting for somebody else. And when you realize that it's your turn to move, you can decide. And I get what it's like to feel like, no, you don't understand. My situation's unique. It really, like, if, you know, my life will go this way if somebody else chooses A, and my life will go that way if somebody else chooses B. Well, I do get that. But that's also a position we've built up and put ourselves in. So the point of having these new tools is not to say, like, yeah, you may be in that position right now, but as you plan for the future, as you take more accountability and responsibility for your destiny, for your family, for what your future holds, you recognize, no, it's my turn. And if you start having that attitude, you're going to be in the driver's seat of many more situations that you think you're really in the passenger seat for. Number 4, it's already happening. This is a good one. This is a good one for me. And you know, I want to reiterate, I am not the master of these. I'm the student of these. I work on these. So I don't have complete mastery over this, but I have focus on it. It's already happening is so relatable to the coronavirus. We are consuming information today and making decisions about tomorrow, but 2 weeks from now is already happening. I want you to get about a week and then 2 weeks and then 2 months ahead of this, and understand when we started, when we first got news of the virus, and we everybody in this country believed like, well, we're going to be shut down for a week. That'll be nice. We'll be home with the kids for a week, and then everyone's going to be back at school and we'll be back to normal. Remember that, do you remember now? It's almost, what we're going through is going to be written in the history books. It's big. It's big, but it doesn't have to be out of your control either. It's already happening. It's not, so we don't have to wait and say like, will this get worse? It's getting worse. It's gotten worse. We can put ourselves back in control by understanding that these situations are unfolding. It's part of acceptance. If you look at a typical grief cycle, what's a cycle of grief? There's 5 stages in a cycle of grief. Stage 1 is denial. We deny that it's happening. I don't know if you've experienced this. I guarantee I've experienced this over the last 30 days. Come on, this thing isn't that big. There's no way. It's unbelievable in many respects. And we go through denial. Next stage, anger. We get angry about things. Why? Because anger puts us back into control. It gives us a sense of power. Our anger is useful in many situations. And I'll come back to that because I do want to make that point. Like, anger is not a bad thing. We tend to think like, well, I want to suppress my anger. I just, I need to breathe. I need to decompress. I need to relax. I need to find, useful ways to use it. I want to tell you right now, there is a purpose to it. And sometimes you need a outlet to get rid of that anger. Now, on the university mastermind side of it, we talk about that in depth. People have rage inside of them, and it's not healthy to keep it in. So there are ways to practice your anger and to get it out in a healthy way, so you're not unleashing it unnecessarily to bring weakness upon yourself. Anger can be a strength. It can be a weakness too. If you don't control the anger, don't let it control you. And by controlling anger, it is absolutely not the same thing as suppressing anger. So step 3 of that grief cycle is bargaining, making deals. Like, well, you know what? If I can, if we've done it with God, if you get me out of this situation, I promise I'll turn my life around. You try to set up the stage for, hey, mom, dad, if you'll loan me money, I promise this won't happen again. Or you try to just make deals, make arrangements. So you go through this bargaining process. Stage 4 is depression. Now, I want to say that just like, it's not a word that's talked about in like business development. You think Steel Toe University was designed to bring you all these business courses and teach you how to develop your landscaping business. And we're talking about depression. Why am I talking about depression when we're a business set up to design to help you grow your business? Because it's a big thing. It's real, and not enough people talk about it. As business owners, we spend a substantial amount of our time isolated. Even during the peak times, most of us ride around in our trucks. We interact with our clients and our crew, but it's still when it's not cubicle life, we're not in an office from 8 to 5. So there's a lot of isolation, and we process things inward because we're nice people, right? Contractors are very good people. I've always said that, and I've always believed that. So we don't want to make others feel bad. We don't want to dump our emotions on our family and on our friends. So when you take that inward and you don't know what to do with it, and you don't have these 5 points of orientation, you don't have the right tools in your toolbox, you get depressed. And it's a real thing. It hurts. It's not easy to get out of depression. How do you do it? Phil, give me the steps to get out of depression. Well, I actually do have steps, but you can go for a run, you can change your physiology, you can change your language, but when you're depressed, that's really, really hard to do. So recognize it. I want to put a big spotlight on anger, depression, fear, all the things that will cripple a business owner, but all the things that affect real people. So the purpose of today's coming on here on this Zoom call is to just call attention. I want to have a loudspeaker and I want to say, listen, there is a home, there is a place at Steel Toe University. We're experienced. I got skills. Like I got skills for handling life. And I got those skills because I surrounded myself with some very, very powerful people. And I'm not there. It's not an arrival point. I'm better, much better than I was years ago or a year ago or 6 months ago or even 30 days ago. But I have my own masterminds. I mean, I'm weekly involved with this conversation of becoming better and leveling up and manning up and owning my shit and being responsible and not being somebody that's going to crumble and fold. And I only can tell you that because at one point in my life, I was a person that crumbled and folded, even though I was successful at business. I mean, it wasn't always like that. I made tons of mistakes. I've learned by screwing up over and over. And then I realized, you know what? I don't want to put my destiny in the hands of anybody else, but doing that does not mean going life alone. You have to be deeply connected in with the group that's got your back, that will deliver for you. And you have to be willing to speak up and talk about it. So when we do it in the mastermind, we do check-ins. I go, level 1 to 10, where's everybody at? I've done it here in the public space. I'm not doing it today for brevity, to keep things moving along. But that check-in's no joke. It's not just like a game we play. Like, hey, let's all check in 1 to 10. Where are you at? 10 means you hit the lottery. No, 10 does not mean you hit the lottery. Because then if that was level 10, nobody would ever be at a level 10. We all think like, well, no one can't possibly be at a 10. Yes, I want you to realize by context, a level 10 doesn't mean everything went your way in a day. It might just mean you took full responsibility for you and your life in that day. Things can go wrong. Things can screw up royally, and you can be at a level 10. Imagine the perspective shift, and you can imagine it. I will tell you that's what happened for me. When I started making more investments in myself and getting and upgrading the people I was surrounding myself with, I realized that a lot of my days in life were level 6s and 7s. They were okay, mediocre, par, average. Whether or not huge jobs sold or no jobs sold, it was still mediocrity because I had no context to understand, oh, wait a minute, level 10 doesn't mean things are always going great. It means what my attitude with accountability and with understanding how powerful I am, because that's really what most people are afraid of. They're not afraid of what's going to go wrong or how they don't have skills. They just haven't tapped into what is already inside of you. None of you are broken. Nobody needs to be fixed. I just want to give you a path to reveal what is already innately inside of you. Let's get to the real you, because the you that might be experiencing depression or anger or pain or fear or regret, whatever it is, you're not a broken person. You just got other stuff hiding the amazing, powerful person that's already inside of you. So number 5 in this 5th point of orientation. Oh, and by the way, last stage of the grief cycle is acceptance. Acceptance. So going right to, if you've ever been through anything major, and the good news is, I guarantee everybody on this call has been through something very major in their life, whether it was a relationship that fell apart, a business that fell apart, crews quitting. I can give you more examples. You can probably give me more than I can give you. But getting to acceptance can take a very short period of time when you're in a position of power and ownership. You can go through this grief cycle really, really quickly because you get more experience. And if you use that experience and you say like, oh, wait, I'm going to actually learn from the lessons of the past and realize like, no matter what, sooner or later, I'm going to end up at acceptance. The best thing we can do with this coronavirus right now is go and walk around through your day and say, I accept what is happening. I don't understand it. I mean, I'm not qualified to tell you what is going to happen in 30 days or 60 days or what I think or how I think Trump is handling it or, what China did. That's for a YouTube channel full of entertainment. But when you really want to make real change, Number one is let's accept. Let's say the deep level acceptance of where we are. Do you think that will not be immensely powerful for your crew, for your clients, for your kids, for your spouse, when you accept it? Because they're looking to you. I mean, the people in your world are taking cues from you, and they can see it. Can you hide that? They can see that fear, that look of fear. Like, you can say it with your words, but it's your whole being. It's a state of being. And when you step in and you've got like this being about you, you can step into any situation and command your power without taking away from anybody else's. It actually empowers other people. It's not commanding your power because you're putting people in line. It's about lifting the world up around you. Being a leader, I mean, it's an amazing opportunity for everyone involved. So point number 5, so that was the 5 stages of grief. Point number 5 on the 5 points of orientation is it never ends. It never ends. This isn't over when the coronavirus ends. This isn't over when the stock market improves. This isn't over when you sold a month's worth of work and now you can breathe because you have 4 weeks in your pipeline and you can make all your payments this month and you don't have to worry for a little bit. It's never over. So don't drop your guard too early just because you think that you've had a temporary victory or an apparent success or you've overcome something. You're constantly stretching and pushing that boundary, that horizon of where you're going. And it's so vital to have the right people and be committed. Because I will tell you, yes, I would like everybody on this call, I'd like all 21,000 followers of ours to join Steel Toe University, the mastermind group where we do this hard work. But if you're not going to show up and you're not committed to it, you're not going to get the value out of it. But if you do, and you do go over there, that's why I drew the analogy to Home Advisor. I mean, we're $60 a month. We're like, a quarter of the cost of what you're paying for leads that are like, maybe it'll be a job that's worth it. And maybe it's not a tire kicker that's getting 4 other bids. We have hundreds of hours of how to run your business. So if you want to consume all of that, you can, because it's there in the university. And in addition to that, I guarantee what the work that we're doing with people, with humans, is different. It's different, I think, personally, than any other group out there. And the right people with the right qualifications, which people that are going through life and have walked through hell and have walked through problems and have made a decision, because everyone's walked through hell, but they've made a decision. I'm going to do life with full accountability. And that's going to require me to be vulnerable. So in those groups, one of the things that we do is we do check-in. First of all, I know everyone's muted on this call. In the mastermind group, I'm not going to let people get away with that. You don't mute and hide and like, I want your video turned on, I want your microphone off, and I want you to check in. I want you to say, you know what, I'm at a 4 today. And when that person's at a 4, I don't want it to be me. I'm not, I didn't sign up to be a guru, and I'm not out to be an internet sensation. I want the group, the power of other people. That's how life works. I can get this conversation started. I can build and develop this group, but it's going to be the power of the group and connecting in the right people. And if you have a place like that, if you have a group through your church, through your community, then by all means join it. There are some other spaces out there. There are other groups out there. Tony Robbins does a great job of leadership. There's other organizations you can join. Step 1, you don't have to join ours. What makes it unique, though, is that we were designed with the original intention of growing people specifically in the service business industry. That's why it's Steel Toe University, Steel Toe Boots, contractors, the whole connection to being in the service industry. So there's like a vast amount of just technical, tactical experience and knowledge waiting for you. But we understand one thing different than, say, any other group out there. Like there's manufacturers, there's software companies, there's other things that have, entrepreneurship groups and how to build, but no one's really like the freedom of having Steel Toe is we're not a big corporation. We don't have stockholders. We can stretch the limits of what is really the conversations that need to happen. I can get anybody to grow their business to $250,000 running it on their own back with a couple of helpers, and I can help you with all that tactical experience. But when you want to go from $250,000 to $500,000, you're going to need a new set of skills, not just in your business, in your head. You need a new mindset. You need a determination, a focus. So when you get kicked, because you will get kicked, when you get knocked down, you realize, you know what? I'm an entrepreneur. I mean, that's different. It's one of the riskiest things and one of the safest things. I mean, once you understand the risk, like I have absolute job security. There is nobody I will not wake up tomorrow and be fired or laid off. But I also have to go make my own way. I got to hustle. I know how to hustle. I know strategy. And then I really understand the power of bringing a group together. So that's my message to you today. I really do invite you. Yeah, I want you to go to Steel Toe, the mastermind group. I love for you to pay for the membership. I love for you to take advantage of it. My gosh, that $60 that you spend every month is going to be returned to you, I don't know, tenfold plus. I'm not going to give you a number, but you have to commit to it. So it's not for everybody, but at the very least, thank you for joining in on this. I will always continue to show up in the public space. I want to give. So the message is like, yeah, of course, we have something to sell. But if you can take anything away from what I'm saying, is I'm delivering this with absolute sincerity. And I deliver all my conversations with sincerity, not authenticity. You're going to laugh. You're going to be like, what? Did he just say he's not authentic? Yes. Because this is another conversation that will segue. What you'll learn is that we wear masks, right? So you think like, well, it's not good to wear a mask. We should be who we are and we should be honest. I'm just that type of person that says what I say. No, I'm going to challenge each and every one of you. You are infinite in who you are. You are not going to go and have a conversation with a client and not have a mask on. You're not going to go have a conversation with your kids and not be in dad mode or mom mode. And that's a good thing. So it's kind of opposite to what maybe some conventional wisdom is. Like, well, I want to drop my mask. No, it's not safe to drop your mask. The world is a dangerous place. You got to be different people for different things. You got to be a boss when you have employees. You've got to be a salesperson when you're trying to hustle and you're trying to convince somebody, hey, I want you to spend $10,000 on your backyard. You're in sales mode. You're not going to tell them you're depressed. There's places. You need a place to drop the mask. That's the safety of a private group. That's why you got to pay for a membership and be private, because one of the other major things that we assure and we have everybody visibly raise their hand and agree to is confidentiality. You want to protect the people that are in the group. So when you leave, you don't say like, oh, hey, Bob in our group is, in the middle of a divorce right now. His life is, really fun. We want you to take the lessons that you learn. If you've learned anything today, take these lessons out into the world. Keep the names of the people and the stories that are specific to them confidential. That's the safety and security of it. So a lot of people will say, I've heard someone say, gee, my phone's ringing. That's hilarious. Hold on, let me decline my call. Gotta turn your ringer off on these things. So I've heard somebody say, well, I asked the question one time, when do you drop your mask? And someone said, well, when I get home, that's when I drop my mask. That's when I can be me. I'm going to suggest don't drop your mask at home. That's the worst place to drop your mask. Do you think your kids need to see your vulnerabilities and your weaknesses in an unhealthy way? No, they're looking to you. That's when you need to have the mask of leadership, of confidence, but you can't fake it. I mean, you have to own it, but you have to have another space. So I put out a video, I don't know, years ago, that said your spouse should not be your best friend. Maybe some of you will argue with me on this, but it's not really, I get the clickbait nature of what that says. But I've heard it said a lot of times, like, oh, my spouse is my best friend, my wife, my husband, they're my best friend. And I'm thinking, like, there are things you need to tell your best friend that you don't need to tell your spouse, that you don't need to tell your kids. Like, there's your relationship as a spouse will be so much more valued and magnified if you don't just be an open book. Have a safe space to process anger, vulnerability, depression, any, other things. And have a safe space also to recognize that this isn't about you showing up on your worst day and just getting. You're giving. You have an opportunity to give and to receive. Which side of that equation do you think is going to give you more power? Well, at first, probably in the receiving end of it. But as you become more mature, as you become more powerful in who you are, as you consciously choose to say, what is the most powerful way I can be? How can I step into my space? How can I look people directly in the eye instead of gazing over the left side of their shoulder? Or you ever watch people, watch people when they talk to you. People very rarely will hold a look right into your eyes for much longer than a few seconds. And that's a sign. It's a sign of what they feel inside. It's subtle. But I'm telling you, this is art of war stuff. You are kings. Inside of you, there are archetypes. There are personalities that make up who we are. Inside each one of us, there's a book called The Four Archetypes, by the way, if you want to look it up. The king, the warrior, the magician, the lover. You're not one or the other. You're not just one way. You're not like, well, this is the way I am. This is who I am. That's what I do. No, there's a strategic time to say, right now, I need to be the magician. I need to use my talent of, sleight of hand. I don't want to project my whole playbook. I don't want to send a text message out to all my employees and say, the next time somebody doesn't show up for work, they're going to get written up. And then if they don't show up a second time, they're going to get fired. That's a policy. I get it. But when you do it in a reactive sense and you project your playbook, you give away information that you're not really committed to. I want you to act the way you're going to act. Don't talk about doing, actually do. And that takes work. But once you start doing, you realize like, well, okay, I came to this group, I got the help that I needed. Now what? Well, then you start giving back. And then all real fulfillment comes into play. So that's my message for everybody today. I care deeply for our country, for our globe. I hate seeing suffering. But if I just sit here and hate seeing suffering, all I'm going to do is feel bad. And I'll be sitting in my house watching Netflix feeling really bad. I'm not doing anything. So I want to get out here and I want to do something. And I want to talk to this community. And I want you to understand that we have a place, a group that is growing, and it is freaking powerful if you use it. And if you commit to it, there's accountability. There's ways that there's accountability, and there's checking in, and there's things you have to do. And if you don't keep the commitments, you're going to be called out on it. Hey, you're not keeping a commitment. What's going on? And if you continue to not commit, I'd rather you leave, or we'll kick you out, because that's what it's about, commitment. And a lot of my life has been learning, like, if you ever feel overcommitted, have you ever been in the position where you made too many promises, where you told someone like, oh, I have a quote to you by Friday. Do you have it by Friday? Or do you tell them on Friday, like, oh, I just haven't gotten around to it yet. I'll have it to you by next Monday. You want to be a person of honor. Wouldn't that be a great thing? To be honorable, to fight honorable battles, to not fight battles against weaker opponents. What does that mean? What does it mean to not fight a battle against a weaker opponent? Who's a weaker opponent? Well, somebody who's not using the tools that you have. Do you really want to get into a shouting match with a client when you've started becoming a powerful person? No, the person who shouts is the weak person. Go look at, go YouTube street fights. The people talking the most junk and the people saying, what are you going to do, huh? You want a piece of me, huh? Those are the weak people. When someone wants to knock you out, they don't talk. They just walk up and knock you out. Be that person. I'm not saying go knock people out. Knock them out with your power. Draw them into you. Attract them to you. And you watch what else gets attracted into your world. And watch the difference you can make. Because with coronavirus, this world needs more and more and more leaders. People stepping up and being unafraid and saying, I'm going right to acceptance. I accept that we are in a jacked up world. I accept that 2 weeks from now, I cannot say with certainty what the market will do, what the president will do, who's going to be the next president. I can't say any of that. What I can say is I am powerful. I am a level 10 today. Amidst all the shit, I'm a level 10. So I say all this with love. Really, honestly, I don't think the word love is used enough. I think love is caring for humanity. I care, and I don't want to just sit here and do nothing and feel bad and watch Fox News and try to predict what's going to happen. I have today. I may not have tomorrow. I could step off the curb and get hit by a bus. I may not have all the blessings that I have, but I'm blessed, and I feel grateful to have a stage where I can at the very least try to make as much of a difference as I possibly can. So with that, if you have enjoyed this, I would ask at a minimum, please share it. Please share it with somebody that you think might need it. Please post a comment on our Facebook page. It helps us. It helps us grow. It helps get this message out. If you think this message is something that's impactful for others, please let them know that. Please say whatever comments you have to say about it. If you think it can be improved, say it. If you didn't like it, comment on it. I mean, it's not for everybody. It's just the message that has worked for me, and I've seen it work in many others in a very powerful way. And then if you love it and you think, you know what, I want more of this. I want to get there. I'm ready. Join Steel Toe University Mastermind. Go to our website, join the link. And I think we still have an offer for where it's free for 7 days. So you'll at the very least be able to get in on the next call. But, kind of just use that home advisor analogy. I mean, you're spending money for leads that may or may not come. And we all kind of, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. We got a lot of powerful stuff in there. We have powerful people in there. So I think this is a really great time to continue to invest in yourself. And with that, I don't want to just say goodbye. I'm happy to open this up. If anybody has any questions, I've got a few minutes here. Please unmute yourself and let me know if you have a question. Question about your business, about what we talked about. I don't really care. It could be a question about anything. Personal life. There's nothing off limits. Hold on, I'm getting a chat. Well, I've had a couple people say thank you. I appreciate that. You are welcome. You are invited. This conversation happens at a level about 2 layers or 3 layers deeper when we do it in the mastermind group. And it's expanding every week. Every week it's going deeper and deeper. And we're bringing real tools to it. So we have some things coming up where we will do a section of the webinar that will have a spiritual component. This isn't a God thing, so I'm not trying to, convince you to take up or embrace any one religion or another. It's a spirit thing. So it's something that will move and shake your spirit to think on a deeper level. We do a lot of work acknowledging there is dark and light in every human being. There is a dark energy. There is a light energy. The goal of life isn't to kick out the dark energy. It's to embrace it and use it and understand its power and live amongst it. If you want to read a great book, there's a book called The Shadow Effect. It talks about the shadow that's inside of us. A lot of time, don't stuff that down. Don't stuff that down. Don't hide from that. Don't run away from that. Embrace it. You'll become very powerful. So with that, I'm going to close it out. If nobody has any questions, feel free to, again, share this. Thank you for your time. I wish each and every one of you, I'm praying for our country. I'm praying for the contractors in our country that conditions do improve, but that we improve. So our world's going through a change. It's an opportunity. Let's embrace it. Let's accept it. And let's love humanity and each other and do something good for that. So with that, I will say goodbye. Good afternoon. Have a wonderful day, and hope to see you all again in the very near future. Thank you. Have a great day.